Welcome to Lesson 4, Estimating Products to Solve Problems. In this lesson, we are going to use estimation strategies that we learned about in previous lessons to solve problems that involve multiplication. A product is an answer to a multiplication question. For example, the product of 3 and 5 is 15. We're going to use the compatible numbers strategy to estimate 58 times 17. Compatible numbers are numbers that are nice and easy to work with, that are close to the numbers in the problem. We know that multiples of 10 from the previous lesson are nice, easy numbers to work with. So let's turn 58 times 17 into 60 times 20. Since 60 is close to 58 and 17 is close to 20. So remember that we're going to first ignore the zeros, and we're just going to simply multiply 6 times 2, which is 12. Next, we're going to look at how many zeros we have in our numbers in the problem, and there are 2. So we're simply going to add those 2 zeros to the end. So our estimate for 58 times 17 is 1200. Since both of the numbers we used in our estimate, 60 and 20, are bigger than the numbers that were in the original problem, we know that this answer is, the estimate of 1200 is bigger than what the actual answer would be if we multiplied 58 by 17. So we call this an overestimate. We're going to use the front-end rounding strategy to find the product of 258 times 43, or we're going to estimate the product. So remember, in front-end rounding, you keep the first digit of the number or the first 2 digits of the number, and everything else behind the numbers turns to zeros. You're always going to be more accurate in your estimate if you keep the first 2 digits, but the problem will also be harder to do. So you have to make that decision. So for 258, let's try keeping the first 2 digits, the 2 and the 5. The last digit turns into a 0. And for 43, we're going to turn that into a 40. So let's ignore the zeros for now and multiply 25 times 4. We know that 25 times 4 is equal to 100. Since there are 2 zeros in the numbers in the problem, we are going to have to add 2 zeros to our answer. So our estimated answer for 258 times 43 is 10,000. In front-end rounding, we always round down. 258 went down to 250, 43 went down to 40. If you use front-end rounding, that's going to be the case every single time, as your estimated numbers will be smaller. Because they are smaller, the answer is going to be smaller than what the actual answer might be. And so, when you do front-end rounding, you will always have an underestimate, an answer that is smaller than the real answer. In this lesson, we learned about a couple of strategies that we could use to estimate products. First, we learned about compatible numbers. In our compatible number strategy, we find numbers that are usually multiples of 10 because they're easy to work with, that are close to the numbers in the original problem. And then we multiply the compatible numbers together to get our estimated answer. If both the estimated numbers that we used are bigger than the original numbers, then we will have an overestimate. If they were both smaller, we would have an underestimate. So it depends on what we did with our numbers. Then we did front-end rounding, where we either used the first 2 digits or the first digit of the original number. Everything else turns to zeros. So again, we have multiples of 10 to work with. We multiply those, and our answer in front-end rounding is always, always, always going to be an underestimate, because the numbers that we use to round with or to estimate with are always going to be smaller in front-end rounding than the original numbers. So have fun estimating products to solve problems. Watch the video again and ask your teacher for help if you need it.